Hey everybody, welcome to JK Next Garage. Got an upper and lower cowl. It's complete upper and lower cowl assembly that is already put together. Got it from Classic Industries back when I was ordering parts, and I'll show you some of the struggles I'm having with this little bugger. So as you can see right there, I've got my little jig on there to help me line up the upper cowl and the firewall and from the, I guess, the door pillar or whatever. So let me turn this camera around and I'll show you what I got going on. All right, so as you can see, it fits in there fairly well. It needs a little bit of love to it, but it's actually not really too bad. Not the best, but you know, good enough, I guess. And now I'm going to show you the problem I have with this. All right, so I took the jig off there and I put this on there. You know, I thought, oh, let's just see how it fits, right? And this side is up quite a bit, as you can see. So here's the issue I'm having is when I push this down into place, the other side comes up quite a bit underneath here. And when I push this down, vice versa. Get these separated, and we will see if the pieces fit in a little bit better than what they do right now with them all together from the manufacturer of these aftermarket parts. So I was going to spare everybody my drilling out these spot welds. As you can see, I got a little bit zealous on that one, but anyways. So I just wanted to show you how easy this thing just pops right off. And what I'm using for my spot weld cutter is this right here. It's actually a spot weld cutter that I got off of Amazon. Typically I just use these. This is a 7/64 bit, and what you can see is I mark all the spot welds in the center and then pre-drill them, indent them a little bit. I try not to go all the way through. Unfortunately that one did, but as you can see, this spot weld cutter that I got is, I mean, these, I didn't even have to pry these off. They just popped out. Very pleased with it. So if you got to do this kind of work, I'll show you what it looks like after we're done here. But all right, so I'm going to try and get this so you guys can see it pop a couple of times when I drill it. Hopefully this will show up. My little camera tripod here doesn't want to stay very sturdy. My table's shaking around like a son of a gun here. So see how all I got to do is just pop that. The key though is to get those drilled out. Get those drilled out in the center of the spot weld. You know, no pounding, just a little bit of wedging and it pops right out. I'll show you what this looks like after I get this all done. Okay, so upper cowl is off of the lower cowl, and I just set it back in there to see how it is, and man, look at that. Very little bit of effort and I can push it right down. The gap is not much there. You know, the old one had a pretty big gap here. I'll see if I can get some pictures of that, but it's sitting down on that. This side sitting good here too. Once again, I'm just barely putting any pressure on there. Sitting a little bit of a gap there, but I think there was gaps right in here when I took the old one off. Sitting good here, sitting flush here. So I tell you what, when I drilled out these spot welds, I could feel the tension. It was popping these spot welds. I hardly had to put any pressure to get these spot welds to break free. As soon as I cut through them, boom, they'd pop. There was just so much torque on that. So this is the upper one. I'll get this put in too and see how that lines up. One more thing with this spot weld cutter, you don't have to do a whole lot of grinding. Just clean this stuff up. Obviously this is where they didn't coat it underneath, but I mean, you don't have to do any grinding like you do with these kind that leave the whole spot weld in there. Another advantage to that little drill bit. So okay, just one more thing that makes me real pleased with all this aftermarket parts and stuff is, so I took these I guess it's the steering column supports off of the old lower cowl, and this is a 5/16 bolt, I believe, and I just thought I'd check and see if I could reuse these in here. And as you can see, nope, it's a 3/8 that they put in the aftermarket. Now I could go through, drill out that bracket, replace the nuts, put it back on, or I could just use 3/8 bolts. The only thing with that is that now I need to drill these holes out to 3/8. I don't think it's the end of the world. I think it's the easiest fix, but just once again, here we go with aftermarket parts. So okay, now to this part, the upper cowl. So man, I don't know if you can see that, but like that won't allow me to actually screw a bolt down in it. So, and it's a little off. You can see I've got my little mark right there. That's how far off it is. This one, it's got a mark right here. That's how far that one's off. So what I got to do is what I'm gonna do is, now that I flipped it over, I'm gonna take this bracket off right here. I'm gonna grind off the nut, get that where it's got to tack back on where it's got to be, and this needs to slide out this way a little bit. It's tucked in right in there off the side. I got to bring it out a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those off. I'm going to take these brackets off on both sides because this side isn't fitting real well either. And I am going to retack the nuts on there in the center. Then I am going to put the upper cowl on and get it in place. Then I'll get these where they need to be, these brackets, according to my jigs. Get them screwed down and then plug weld them on there. So shouldn't have to do this much work with these aftermarket parts for as expensive as they are, but there again, I'm beating a dead horse. I say that all the time. So oh well, I'll bring you back when I get this figured out. Okay, got the brackets off, and notice that, you know, where I said that nut was off-centered in that hole, it's probably because that hole is actually supposed to be a 1/2 inch, and they've only got it a 3/8 hole right now, so that if they don't get that nut right on there, like these aren't, the bolt won't fit in that hole. These are, I took the measurements off of these holes here and the one on the inside. All right, that hole is supposed to be an 11/16 hole, and it's actually only a 9/16 hole. So, I mean, that's an 1/8 inch off. That's a 1/16 off on both sides. So we'll get these holes, I'll get these nuts ground off of here, and we'll get these holes the size they're supposed to be. And as you can see, still no coating underneath. So we'll get this all weld through primered and everything and get this put on. So here's the upper cowl. Got it all prepped and ready to go. Just got my weld through primer. So I decided instead of taking this apart, taking the nuts off and re-drilling the holes to make them bigger and then tacking the nuts back on into place, I just took the old ones off of the old cowl there, and this is what they came out. Metal's still really good there. Just put it in the blaster. This is the other old one right here. Blasted it up, coated it, got some weld through primer on it. It's ready to go. I'm using the old ones because why mess around with taking the nuts off, grinding the nuts off, and trying to weld them back into place when I know that these, according to my my little jigs I got here that I bolt on, I know that those line up and they're in perfect spot for the jigs, so I'm just going to use these. It was just a matter of taking them off, cleaning them up, and then I'll put them right back on. This one goes on here, get it put on there. The two bolt holes will line up exactly what they need to be, and then I'll tack it on. So I think this is going to work out a lot better than me fighting these aftermarket ones with the little nuts. Those little nuts on the back there, crying out loud, you can, you know, they're so small. You look at the nuts on the back of these, nice big. Yeah, nothing like the original, right? So that's what I've been working on. I'll continue on getting this other one ready to go, this one right here, and I'll bring you back when we're all ready to start putting it all together. All right, so I got the old cowl put back in here, pretty much lined up with where I drilled out the spot welds, and I made sure they were all lined up there to make sure I was right back in the same place it was. Having a couple issues with the old compared to the new. So as you can see, this old one, this flange comes right over the top of this right here, and I know it's rusted out and stuff all through here, but it's the same way on this one, all the way through. See how it lays on there. So the other thing is I needed to get these holes in the right spot for the steering column support braces or brackets or rods or whatever you call them. So what I did is I took a mark right here and measured over, and it's I got 9 3/8 plus and 13 1/4 plus. It's probably closer to 9 1/2, maybe. So just taking some reference marks, measurements. I've got a mark here and a mark here, and that 24 5/8 is from the floor pan up to the center of these holes. It's not critical really, but I'm not going to change the floor pan before I put this new lower cowl in, so I should be able to use those as a reference point. And then I also went from the mark over here to the center of this bracket right here. I got my little mark there, but that is the light on there a little bit. That's 26 1/2 inches. So let's get the new cowl on here and see how this lines up. Okay, the new cowl's in, right? And I tell you what, ever since I took this thing apart, the upper cowl from the lower cowl, this was really sitting in there nice. I'm very pleased with that. So here's my dilemma is, remember how I was showing you how this just laid right over? I've got this whole big piece right here that sticks up on both sides, and I don't know if I should just trim that off and bend it down like the other one was. Maybe somebody out there can give me a comment and let me know before I go tacking this all down if I gotta do something like that. Cut it, pound it down, bend it down, whatever. Doesn't really matter. Do I have to wait until I get my dash pan in? I don't know. Hit me up in the comments, let me know. So let's check out the measurements. Alright, so I don't know I'll be able to hold this and get the camera at the same time, but I'm on my mark right there. Not really, but right about there. So 9.5, and well, so 9.5, and then between them should be like 3 7/8 or something like that. So hold that on the center. Hard to do this one-handed, but yep, 3 7/8. So we're good there. Now let's check out my center. Check out the center here and see how that is. See if we're at, was it 26.5? I think my measurement was. So let's check it out. Okay, let's see here. Get this lined up. Here we go. 26.5. Okay, so that's good. So now let's check from my mark down here, which is right about there. We want 24 5/8. Yep, 24 5/8. I'm not going to try and hold this for this other one. So, well, okay, maybe I will. Okay, so let's check out this one. This one I had to go at a little bit of an angle because of the little notch down there, but 24 5/8. So the new cowl is fitting in there pretty good. So I'm happy with how it sits real flush with everything. The only problem I have is this right up here. Please leave me a comment on what you think I should do with that. So that's it for the lower cowl. Once I figure out what to do with this right here, this flange, she's all prepped and ready to go. Get ready to weld it on, and then we will get to the upper cowl. So I'll show you that in just a minute. We get this stuff all ready to go, we'll bring you back, and I'll show you exactly how we put it all together. All right, well, that about wraps it up for what we're doing on the upper and lower cowls there. Hopefully I'll get some comments back on what I should do with the flange for that, and we'll get that stuff right over there put all back together and bring you along for that. So in hindsight, I guess from now on I'm buying all my parts separate. I tried saving some time by buying them put together like that, and it kind of comes back to bite me. So you do what you want to do. I don't know if they're all like that, but I think it just got spot welded a little wonky. So anyway, don't think we're going to be able to get something out before the holidays. Been pretty busy here, and I still got to go shopping for Kelly for Christmas, so she's not out here. But anyways, so hopefully some of these problems we're running into will help you, and we appreciate you coming along, and we'll see you on the next one.